Welcome to the Wildcast Podcast, coming to you from Wildcast Studios with your hosts Adam Lund and Jeremy Boucher.
Oh, welcome back to Wildcast Studio for the Season 5 finale of the Wildcast Podcast, your unofficial voice for all things Moncton Wildcats. As always, fan listeners, I am your host, Adam Lund, and I am joined by your favorite co-hoster, Mr. Jeremy Boucher. You made it. You survived today in the heat day.
Thank God this city has like children's playgrounds with splash pads. I mean, you can imagine, how creepy it would be if a man of my stature decided to go to a children's playground by myself and play on the splash pad or in the splash pad, whatever.
Yeah.
But quite refreshing, I must say, when you sit underneath the bucket, and the water fills up and it tips over once it gets to a certain weight. That feels nice.
I feel like you were not the only one there.
Oh, absolutely not. No, there were some kids there. There were daycares there, and then there was me with a 10-pound backpack, a vest on, a golf shirt and shorts, and sweating every inch of my body.
Yeah,
and I'm just like, move over, kids.
So as hot as it was today. That's how it was the whole Czech Republic with no AC.
Gross.
In transit buses. Some shops had it, some shops didn't. Our first hotel that we got in, so she booked a hotel with AC and a terrace. And then the first room we got in didn't have a terrace, didn't have AC. Like they had like the little side heaters that were supposed to have AC.
Yeah.
We got in there at like, I don't know, 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And we're just like, no, this is not going to work. No, like I'm trying to fiddle with the AC. There's nothing coming out. She's like, well, no, I ordered a terrace. So this kind of heat today. And then Europe does not have air conditioning. So, well, at least Czech Republic didn't. Austria did. It had a little bit. London had a little bit. But yeah, it's not the AC you think of here where you turn it on and it cranks. So it's, that's kind of what we had to deal with. And I forgot to tell you this last week, but I now realize why I will never be on The Amazing Race, which is going on right now. A, I don't like to be lost. B, trying to find things is not always the easiest in a language you don't know. Luckily, because I think they're part of the European Union, they had like English, German, Polish, and Czech Republic at the train, transit, stuff like that. But the walking. Oh my God, the amount of walking. And we went to a castle, I can't remember the name of it. And so when you come on the tram, there's this stop. And we're like, okay, whatever. We'll get off this stop because that's the one she found. It's straight uphill. You remember that one episode where they had to go all the way up those stairs?
Yeah.
That's literally what it felt like. And I told Layla that's what it felt like. So we get to the top and we're seeing all these older people come down these stairs. And we're like, how in the world did they get up these stairs? And like they're not, for lack of a better term, not dying in this heat. And we couldn't figure it out. We're like, they're used to it, right? Like they're used to it. So we go through this castle. We see all the history in the museum and stuff like that. We go out and we're going through trying to find this other end. We go at the other end. There's the other entrance.
Escalator entrance.
Other entrance. So if you'd have taken the tram up the street, 2 more stops, I think, we'd have stopped here and got out and been able to walk down the stairs to the tram entrance. So, yeah, that's kind of why I found that I may not be on The Amazing Race. But, I mean, speaking of that, they were in my hometown. Well, kind of, Lethbridge. They were in Lethbridge. So
yes. You're actually watching that.
Yeah, we watched the Canadian one.
I don't think you watched you didn't bring that up last week, did you? No, I didn't think so. No, this is actually good. I think they're saying within Canada. Everything is within Canada on this season, so it's nice. There's no, I could have went on this one because there's no language barriers or anything like that. So far, I've liked it. I like the season so far. I'm curious to see how far east they go.
Mm-hmm. Well, they're just in Montreal, but I don't think
they've got to go. They didn't
come out here, did they?
Not yet. No, but I'm trying to find like a spoiler site.
Yeah.
That tells us exactly where, what cities they've been to and what days it was. But, yeah, that's on Mondays at, I think, 9 on, is it Global? CTV. Yeah, sorry. CTV.
Yeah, well, this is the season finale, so we won't be back till, middle of August once training camp gets kicked off. You want to make who do you have winning that thing?
The brothers, the funny brothers, the goofy brothers, they're funny. They seem to have some good chemistry. To me, I think they're probably like the favorites just because they seem to be the outdoorsy type people. They've probably done some of these. There's probably going to be a canoeing thing eventually, and I mean,
I think they're in Kelowna this week.
Yeah, they spend half their time in the water. Those guys, because they're from north of Toronto, Parry Sound area.
Yep.
The lakes, 1,000 Lakes or whatever it's called. So I gotta give them the edge. I'm actually surprised that Deshaun, and I think it's his uncle, they're not exactly having a great start. Deshaun's from won a season to Big Brother Canada.
Mm-hmm.
He's on this season of Amazing Race Canada. Him and his uncle, they're not off to a great start. So I think they're probably going to pick it up here eventually. But I got to give it to the McConnell brothers from McConnell, Ontario. I think that's what they're called.
Yeah.
And I got to give them the
edge.
The edge. Yep.
All right. Well, we got a jam-packed show, so we're going to get right into it. Don't forget, as always, follow us on Twitter. There won't be much in the next month here. Instagram, Wildcast Podcast, TikTok. And we finally figured out this camera thing, so we are on YouTube again just as the season ends, but doesn't mean we won't be back for next year. And there's some things in the works maybe for a newer, bigger audience next year, but we'll have to see. Couple players at the World Under-17 camp. Adam Fortier-Gendron, the first round pick, 14th overall, and then Gabe Smith. Yeah, first thing, I mean, I watched more of the green games than I did the black game until the final one. First thing that stands out is Gabe Smith is tall.
Yeah, big boy.
He is a very big boy. He's tough to push in front of the net. He's good behind the net. He's able to use his size to spin out, protect the puck quite well. So I didn't see much on Fortier-Gendron except for that last game. But he seemed to move the puck well, good puck mover. But yeah, the thing that stood out for me with Gabe was size. I think he'll have to work on his skating just a little bit at the Q level. But I don't, as we'll get into here in a little bit when we get into the camp roster preview here, I don't see him not being on this lineup. He had 2 assists in the 4 games. Fortier-Gendron had 1 assist in the 4 games. And had a bit of an injury concern.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. You texted me the did you see that injury? What injury?
What injury? That was concerning for me. You just the way he went down and the way he was clutching, grabbing his leg, and you just, oh no, not right now. You're a month away from training camp. You don't want, your top pick to go down with an injury. And I think that's kind of where I stopped watching the game, because I was like, this is not good. And
then Gabe Smith has to serve the penalty from the guy that got the kneeing.
Exactly, yeah. So Gabe Smith serves the 5-minute major for boarding, if you want to.
Is that what they called it?
They called it boarding. Yeah.
Ooh, I sent the video to you. I spliced it. I was like, that is kneeing.
Yeah. I also think it's a referee development camp. If you're asking me, a lot of these calls were marginal, but honestly, it was very concerning to see, when you saw him go down, just because of how he reacted, and could put any weight on his right leg, had to be helped off the ice, and you're like, oh man, no, this is a ACL or an MCL or something like that.
Like from Varsity Blues, please God, don't do this to me now.
And then I turned it off because I don't think I could watch anymore, and I decided to watch the third period then the next morning, and he was back out there. So I don't know if it would just been a Charlie horse or what. I'm not a doctor, but for him to come back that quickly, considering how painful it looked, good news, very good news. And I think he played really. I was actually impressed with him. He's as advertised. He's a great skater. Doesn't mistake free kind of defenseman, which is nice. And Gabe Smith had a good tournament. Well, he had a couple assists, but he was in there. I think that the first couple of games, he could have easily had a goal and an assist in that first game. He had some good chemistry with Jeremy Leroux, Chicoutimi pick, and they seemed to click the last couple games of the tournament. But he picked up a couple points, and that was nice to see. But he's a big kid.
Yeah, when he fills into that body.
Yeah, I think he could probably easily touch 200 pounds if he works hard. But I think I like the chances of him signing. I'm not too concerned about his other options that scared teams away.
Yep.
Because, skill wise, size wise, he should have been a first round pick.
Yeah, and I was very as I was watching the tournament, watched the first red and green game. Poirier, that his line with Calabrini, I think they had some connection, but just watching some of the highlights with Dag, so glad that Cape Breton didn't take him, so we didn't have to play him eight times a year. Finished top goaltender in the league, 2.5 goals against. Like that's he seems to, like you said, come as advertised. I'm kind of glad that Cape Breton passed on him so that we don't have to face him 9 times a year for the next 4 years. But bringing it back into Moncton, and we're gonna get the next time you hear us will probably be just after camp starts, probably around August 22nd. Camp gets going August 15th. We kind of touched on it a little bit. This is a camp where they're big. This is a size camp. There was a concerted effort to bring in size. They brought in 6 free agents. They added defensemen. They added one more too that I saw on there. Isaiah
Para.
Yeah. So they've added that one since. Again, another big free agent. By big, I mean size-wise. This is a very competitive camp, and it's going to be like we've had defense be the thing to watch at camp, but I think now the forward battle is going to be the thing to watch. Like there's so many spots that it's very tough to put a roster together.
There's going to be some returning players that aren't going to be back this year, and which is unfortunate. But when you get to a certain age, you've got to do something to prove yourself, and there's probably I would say at least three forwards that I'm kind of not necessarily putting on my roster this year. That would have been on last year's team, and that's that's one line. So it's that's just tells you how competitive this camp is going to be, and the free agent group looks really good. There's 3 really good sized defensemen. There's a goalie with really good numbers in Junior A. There's there's the Perron, who had a pretty good year with Lac Saint Louis. There's Goran Stobo, who was impressive with Cole Harbour. I know I'm missing one, but it's going to be very competitive. And if Gagne, that's the one who I don't know anything about. So there you go. And I think I can maybe 3 or 4 free agents will make the team this year. That's my guess. And that's just because it's there's going to be spots up for grabs, and nothing's a given.
No. So what's a guy in the camp, whether a free agent, one of the draft picks, one of the returning guys that you're excited and has the most work? I guess not the most work. Like that you're excited to see come into this camp from last year to this year.
Or like returning player?
Yeah.
Or a returning player. I mean, for me, Miles Mueller put on such a strong second half last year that I'm looking forward to seeing his progression going into next season. I know the rookies are Lansbury is going to be ready to go. He's going to be I'm not going to put him as rookie of the year, but one of those guys that's going to step in right away and probably play not every night, but I would say every second night.
Yeah.
And probably contribute on that fourth line. And
because for me it's Tybell. The guy he started slow, but he ended up taking, like when LaBelle was out there, he was taking almost every face-off, big situation face-offs, and he just got better. And that's the thing you have to learn how to do in this league is take face-offs, especially when you're going against Charlottetown, St. John, Bathurst, who has top guys as they're loading up. You're facing those guys. I think they faced them 20-some times in 30 games against those teams. Those aren't easy face-offs to win, and he held his own, and I think another year more comfortable in this league, another year of face-offs. I think he's someone that can have a big camp because he's going to have to step in to the top 6 and be a force in the face-off circle. He's going to be taking a lot of face-offs with him and LaBelle, And the other guys that we kind of talked about, and I've compared him, is Loshing, and I compared him to Mika Sear. When I first got here, Mika Sear had the injury in the playoffs, and then he had the injury the following year, and then took 2 years and had very good years. The offense came, he stayed healthy, and that was one of the keys, was for Pelche to have a great year or McKenna to have a great year. Sear had to stay healthy, and I think Loshing is that type of player that if we're going to get that production and he stays healthy, we're going to be just fine. And I don't want to say he has pressure on him at camp, but that's just a guy I'm looking at camp to come in and show, like, no, I'm healthy, I'm ready to go, all 68 games, watch me go.
If he can stay healthy, I'll be happy. He'll have a big year if he stays healthy, because he's gonna be playing in the top 6.
Yep.
Well, maybe not top 6. I mean, it could be very well the top line.
Yep.
And if he stays healthy, it's going to be very nice to see. As long as let's be honest, if the whole team stays healthy,
yeah,
it'll be nice to see, because there's been we've in the past few
Depth
years
has been
there's
tested.
been, yes, very good way to put it. There's been some unfortunate injuries to key players that probably hurt the team, because we just didn't have that depth to for another player to step in. So fingers crossed we could have a healthy year, no serious injuries, because we're going to have a better team this year. Let's be honest. It's going to be a lot more competitive, and you're probably I think it's safe to say that Halifax it's their division to lose, and I think
we're on the heels.
We're on the heels,
stay
and
healthy.
even Cape Breton. I mean, they're not. Cape Breton's not going to be a slouch. They've made some quality moves, and if they would have brought in the names that they were supposed to, and Josh Lawrence and Biaka Batuka, they would look even better. But
They brought in Josh Lawrence.
Did they?
Sent him right
they
out.
just sent him right out. He didn't want to go there.
Yeah, Eagles legend Josh
Yeah,
Lawrence, as
exactly.
we like to say.
Yeah. So yeah, if they would have gotten those two guys, it would have been a different story.
Yeah.
But they still look really well, and Bathurst is going to have a strong first half, because they're going to take it. They're going to have the Kidneys. They're going to have the Melancons, or Bednar.
Bednar
No.
should be there. Yeah.
Is he?
Yeah, he's one of the 20s and Euro, I think.
Oh wow, we can bring him back.
Or is
Okay.
he 19?
I don't know. Yeah, Bednar. 2003.
He was drafted the same year as Barbs, so he'd be 19,
Okay.
I believe.
Yeah, we're gonna. Yeah,
We're gonna fact check that
Yeah,
while you
that's-
continue
I don't
your.
but they're strong in net, so they're going to have they're going to be right there with us, I think, in the first half.
Yeah.
And it's going to be similar to, they're going to trade Kidney, they're going to trade Melanson, they very well could trade Bednar.
He's 19.
Yeah, so they're going to have a strong first half, and they're probably going to tail off in the second half. So that's our way of moving up, and hopefully securing you to that second or third spot in the division. Possibly first. It's in Halifax. It takes one injury. If there's an injury to a Dumais or a Leroux, any one of those guys, that's going to affect them. And Lord knows, we could be game one, and Leroux could go off and hit someone, and he's gone for 15 games. Right? He's just you never know with him, and. Yeah, so it's going to be it'll be a competitive division. The top 3 teams last year will
Be the bottom 3, and the bottom 3 will be the top 3.
Yeah, and that's the cycle. And
Yep.
there's probably going to be games where, last season St. John put the nuts to us, and we're probably going to put the nuts to St. John this year.
because we used to in 2019, 2020, right? Like that's how this works.
That's just that's the way she goes, boys. And as the Trailer Park boys say, that's the fucking way she goes.
Yeah, and you got to make sure you're putting the nuts to them, because you can't allow them to creep in and lose those games that you're in the second half that you should win, especially when you're actually loading up and supposed to win. But those are games you're gonna be kind of expected to win as the season goes on and staying healthy. But preseason gets started a month from Monday at the Aiken Center against St. John. Friday here at the Uniplex against St. John, Avenir Center against the Islanders, and they go to Cornwall against the Islanders. and then they finish off the first half. The first half of the preseason at the Avenir Center on the 26th.
Oh, is there an unnecessary 2-week
then,
break?
Oh, yeah. Friday, August 26th. And then we come back September 10th against Bathurst up in Caraquet. Sunday, September 11th against
Caraquet?
Caraquet at 7 p.m. And then they turn around and they play Sunday at Bucktouche against the Islanders. And then at McClellan Arena in Charlottetown to finish the season September 3rd. And then we have to wait 2 weeks till October 3rd for the home opener. So,
interesting. Okay, well, I didn't know about the Caraquet game.
Yeah.
Beautiful town.
Yeah. I went there actually last September.
Might be worth the. No, not really. Left in the preseason. Yeah. Let's look. That's things are going quick. There's 1 month to go, and when we're recording this on Monday night, 69 days until the Wildcats home opener. Nice. And next thing you know, it's summer's gonna be over, and we're gonna be back in the rink.
So before we get into our guest, I got one. We should probably do a roster prediction, and it's way too early for that. But you know what? We love doing roster predictions.
And sometimes we're right, sometimes we're wrong, sometimes we're 50-50.
Yeah. Be interesting to see if we agree as much as we did on.
I have a good feeling, not necessarily where players might slot in.
Yeah.
But I think the whole idea of a 12 forwards, 6 defensemen, 2 goalies situation might fit in. I think we're probably going to be on the same page. I think our fourth line
may
differ significantly.
Yeah.
But other than that, I think we're probably going to be on the same page.
All right. So where do you want to start? Goaltending?
Let's start at goaltending.
Build like Richie always says, build from the back.
That's
end
right.
Out, right.
Yeah.
So I've got Filion and Steinman.
Confirmed. Yes. Steinman.
Yeah. And we're gonna have
no, Steinman.
Yeah. We're gonna
no, Steinman.
We're not sure how well he plays, but just for that fact alone, we can have no, Steinman.
Batman.
No. Look,
Steinman.
He's one of the goaltenders. I mean, what was he? 295 goals against average.
Yeah.
He's like 6'9" or 6'8" or something. Like, he's a big kid. And this is nothing against Gio, and I've been a Gio supporter the whole time. But at some point, is he a Q goaltender? And last year in the preseason, there was that game, I believe in Charlottetown, where it was him and Sheehan, and it was their chance to be the backup, and it was just make a save. And I love Gio, and I think I've liked him ever since camp. I just don't know if he's going to have enough to beat out a guy like Steinman. 6 foot, 187 pounds. Cooper Fleming is another guy that I think is just on the cusp there. Kiefer Thompson as well there, but I just think they're bringing in a big, tall 19-year-old goaltender, and I think it's an asset you didn't have to give up to bring in a 19-year-old goaltender. So I feel like that's where we're going.
Yeah, 100%. In the event a call up will be needed, Cooper Fleming's going to be a couple hours away. And I know during the draft, Adam, I said this to you. I said, they need a Quebec goalie. I said this. How many times did I say that to you?
4? At
least 4 times. Probably starting at the 7th or 8th round. I said, They need a Quebec goalie. Because they didn't have one.
Yeah.
Other than Filion. You take 2 goalies on a road trip to Quebec. If one gets injured, what are you going to do? Mm-hmm. You have to go find one to sign one. Finally, I think, I'm not sure which round he got picked, but Anthony LeBlanc, I think his name is.
12th round.
Yeah, very Acadian names, not very.
13th
Quebec.
round, sorry.
13th, yeah. So they needed a Quebec goalie. They finally got one, so I'm happy with that. I don't know anything about him, but I got to go with Filion and Steinman and run with it. Gio, you're a good you're a great junior A goalie. You just can't cut it in the queue. Cooper Fleming and Keegan Thompson, like I said, they're going to be around if we need some call ups here. So
yeah, it's and play Filion 60% of the games. Like, you brought in Steinman as a free agent to back up. He's the backup. So let Filion roll. This is his time to play at least 60% of the games. Because if you remember back about a month ago, that was one of the things I wanted. So I don't know if you want to go pairs of defensemen or just kind of the 7-8 defensemen.
Let's go pairs. I mean,
Okay.
we can start with pairs.
Okay, well, I have Hamel and Asenza. Not the top pair, but I know that pair is going to stick together.
Iasenza,
That would be my 3-4
yeah.
pair.
Yeah, no, I actually have Iasenza and Hamel as number 1.
The top pair?
Yeah,
Okay.
the top pair. Because I think we're finally going to see some goals
Yeah.
from Hamel, and Iasenza's his offensive, the offensive side of the game. We've been drawn to his physicality, his defensive awareness. I think we'll see a step up on the offensive side this year. I wouldn't put them as the top power play unit.
No, that's Moran.
Yes, but I would put them as probably one of the top D pair.
So who's your second pair?
So my second pair will be Morin and Thomas Darcy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I have Darcy on my team. I'm not sure if you do or not.
I have him as the 7th defenseman.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've seen way too many good things from him.
Yeah.
To have him as an extra. He's earned his top 4 playing time.
And he's a player that when we were talking just a moment ago about guys that need to have the big camp, I think for me, he's one of them because I had him as the 7th, but coming off a good camp this year again, he could easily slot into the top 6.
Mm-hmm.
I had Moran and Ballantyne.
Okay.
I actually had them as the top pair because Moran is just great. And
Mhm.
Ballantyne, big defenseman, we're not sure what he's going to be, but he feels to me like he's that defensive defenseman type, 6'3", 190, big shutdown guy. So shutdown guy allows Moran to do what he needs to do on the top pair. And then my bottom pair is AGF and Grenier. May not last that way, but that's what I have as the bottom pair.
I have Ballantyne and Grenier as my bottom pair.
You don't have Forte Gendron on the team?
Oh my goodness, Christ!
And then I had Dolomont and I had Darcy as the 7th defenseman, and kind of your first call up was Dolomont, but
oh my Christ! No, I don't have. Oh wow, I don't have Morin on my team.
so
Oops.
this right now is exactly what I was like last year when I was like, I got this guy, and you're like, you don't have Pilote?
No, I don't have. Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So again, before we kind of did
Yeah.
this, like
okay. My bad. Okay. Sorry, I had this wrong. So Morin goes with Darcy,
Mm-hmm.
and Forte Gendron goes with Ballantyne, and I have Grenier, excuse me, as an extra.
Oh, okay.
My bad. Wow.
And I think Grenier for me and Darcy can kind of flip flop a little bit because Grenier, you have to see what kind of size he brings because last year he was a little small, got injured early on, but I was a little bit of a that was like last year.
I was like, holy shoot, what the hell?
When I forgot Pilote.
Holy smokes, that wasn't good.
No, but you fixed it.
I did fix it.
You fixed
now
it, so
corrected.
you're
And
So we have all the same players.
yeah.
We just have different orders as we go through. So,
And they usually take 8 defensemen.
Yeah.
So, it's either going to be one of those other free agents, whether it's, Sullivan or Nadeau or.
Wouldn't be surprised if it's a Sullivan that they could put, like you said, the Wellington Dukes trade him somewhere so that he could play Junior A here in New Brunswick, at least play, and then he's right there as a call-up,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Like,
so it's just one of those, I hope.
Mhm.
He just seems like he's got the size that we want to be able to keep him around and not have him get scooped up by an OHL team, even though he's, that's obviously his jurisdiction. But, I don't know anything about him. I don't know much about Nadeau. But, Ballantyne seems to be, to me, the one that, given his right shot, given his size, seems to be one, kind of has got the lead on the other two. Like, I know Nadeau is a right shot as well, but on a junior hockey experience level, Ballantyne has that edge because I think he played a whole season of Junior A last year compared to Nadeau. I think he split between midget, AAA, and some Junior A. So that's the only reason why I'm giving him the edge there.
and again, we have no idea what these players are like. So come camp, they could absolutely Ballantyne could fall off, and Nadeau is
Mm-hmm.
the defenseman, right? So, all right, so we'll go to the forwards. I've got Loshing, LaBelle, and Barbashev as the top line.
Loshing, LaBelle, Barbashev confirmed.
Nice. Well, that's not bad. We're getting pretty good at this. I got Mercier, Tybell, and Auger as the second line.
So I'm going to put Baudouin on the second line.
Okay.
Because why the hell would you pay 2 third-round picks to have him play on the third line? You've got to find a spot for him.
Yep.
On the top 6. So I would go. I'm with you on the top line.
Mm-hmm.
I might even make a change here. I'm looking at 2. I've got 1 saved on my computer and I've got 1 saved on my phone.
How many rosters you got going?
Well, there's so much. I
Yeah.
think one's pre-draft and one's post-draft.
So I'll just finish mine while you're thinking.
Yeah.
I put Baudouin, Mueller, and Danielle on the third line because that is a shutdown third line if there's a shutdown third line. Baudouin can move up and down if Mercier or Auger, if you need to do that. And they've proven that they can play with Danielle. Danielle can move up. So that's my third. I like to have, every time we've done this, I'd like to have that third line, shutdown line. Mueller's going to be your PK guy. Mueller and Baudouin is your PK guys. Danielle's your PK guys. I love that. And then my fourth line, I've got Lounsbury at center with Gabe Smith and Gagne. And then I got Matthews, and Matthews or Saracen is my extra forward there. So Gabe Smith, I don't see him staying on that fourth line. I kind of see him maybe moving up to third line. But I like that fourth line of Lounsbury, the speed. Gabe Smith is a big guy. Vern Gagne? Not Vern Gagne.
Is it Alexi Gagne?
Alexi Gagne. Vern Gagne is the wrestler. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know why I was thinking that, but that's why I have, and I know that paying the prices for the 2/3 for Baudouin, you kind of want to put him in your top 6, but I feel like that would lead fans to the pressure of Kalmakoff putting him in the top 6, expecting that offense. So if you put him in the third line, he's the depth piece to score. He's the physical. So that's kind of why I didn't want to put him in the top 6. And I get where you're putting him there, but for me, I don't want to put that pressure on him. Like, we paid the 2/3 for this, so you're in the top 6. So put the puck in the net. So that was my thinking.
Well, it's a good point. But I mean, he was playing top 2 lines in Shawinigan on a contender. So if you're playing top 2 lines in Shawinigan on a contender, how are you not playing top 2 lines in Moncton on a second year rebuild?
Yeah.
That's my mindset. So I mean, I've got Loshing, LaBelle, and Barbashev. My second line, I've got Baudouin, Tybell, and Auger. My third line, in my opinion, I don't think you're getting a commitment from Gabe Smith without giving him third line ice time. So I've got him, Mueller, and Mercier on my third line. And then Alexi Daniel, I know he deserves to play more up in the lineup, but I do have him on the fourth line, but I think he'll get some power play time. So I've got him with Lounsbury, and the young man who I said to keep an eye on at training camp next is Quincy Nicholas Suprian on my fourth line.
Yep.
Then I have Luke McPhee and Isaiah Parra as an extra.
Oh, I forgot about Luke McPhee.
Luke McPhee.
Because he was injured all last year. I kind of forgot about him. Yeah, all right.
Yeah, so
you have 3 rookies from this draft class.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. I've got the 2 obvious ones.
Yeah, and then
I've got
one sleeper.
The patented late round selection guy. So, I mean, pretty even. I think I knew our bottom 6 would be a little weird.
Yeah.
But we're pretty even.
I'm a little surprised to see Daniel on your fourth line.
Me too.
Just because
I have him on my pre-draft lineup.
Yeah.
I have him. I got to pull it up here. I have him centering the third line on my pre-draft lineup.
Mm-hmm.
In my post-draft lineup, I've got him on my fourth line. So it's hit or miss. I know he's better than the fourth line, but we're getting into a spot where you need to get Gabe Smith guaranteed ice time if you want him here, and Mueller, he's not a top 6 player, but he's not a fourth line player, so
Yeah.
you got to put him on the third line. Mercier, he's not a fourth line player. He does fit in the top six, but our top six is our top six right now.
Yeah.
So you got to put him on the third. And I think what I like about Daniel is, I think he's the perfect player to play with young guys, just because of how hard he works.
Yeah.
He's a leader. I fully expect him to be wearing a letter this year. And to have a line mate that's, in his third year, he's a local guy. He can show you around. Take these young players under his wing, show them, I just think for me, it's a good fit.
Mm-hmm.
And he's just one of those guys to me, I've never talked to him, but he just seems like he's not the one who would complain about playing fourth line, because he knows that his style of play is fourth line, and if he's playing a fourth line, he can easily he brings offense to the fourth line. A lot of these fourth lines in the team in the league, it's mostly young guys, it's rookies. They don't have that experience on to play with, and this is a guy, okay, go here on the ice, go here, go here, and it just he can direct the traffic and be that guy that these young players can count on as a line mate. So he just, to me, just doesn't seem like a kind of guy that would complain about playing on the fourth line, even though he knows that he's better than a fourth line player.
Yeah, and he's gonna get ice time. He's a second power play guy.
Mm-hmm.
He's gonna be. I think him and Mueller are your number one PK guys.
100%. It's going to be
so
one
he's
of
going
the
to get
better...
his ice time there.
Yeah.
So obviously our 320-year-olds are Labelle, Hamel, and Baudouin.
Yes.
So we don't envision Olsen being back. You think
Cloutier's gone? I don't have Pavin on there. I don't have Dalmont on there.
I switched Saracen for McPhee.
Yeah.
Or
Saracen is just one of those guys
forgot about
where
Luke McPhee.
it's Saracen's like.
And I like Saracen's game.
Me too.
He fits the fourth line. 1 out of every 6 or 7 games jumps into a lineup on a road stretch, right? Like that's the type of game that he's playing right now. And when he gets in there, he's not going to make the mistakes that a lot of young guys make. He fits in. He's physical. He puts some pucks in the net. So
there's always 15
But I like
forwards.
Matthews.
Yeah. There's always 15 forwards, right? Usually 15. So I don't have 15. I've got 14. So I'll add in Saracen. Right, it's just one of those things where
14 too.
They usually take 15 forwards, 8 defensemen, 2 goalies. Right, so for me right here, I'm short of forward, I'm short of defenseman. So sure, I'll add in.
Well, yeah, if they're taking 15, then I'll add Saracen.
I'll add Dolmont. It's just one of those things where it's if you got to fit them in, fit them in.
But this is what we're speaking to on the camp, right? Like this is the third year. Like Gavin Cornforth.
Mm-hmm.
He could be an impact player that makes an impact if he's here, right? Like
very possible.
He was on with Tim and said he was going to come check out the city. So
and he made the U.S. under 17 Five Nations team that's going to be playing in Colorado in August, and
Cole Eiserman from.
Honestly, there's I
slim to none.
There are so many things I would do that are completely inappropriate. If there was there was a way for him to come to Moncton, but I envision at the 2024 NHL draft when he's probably a top 10 pick. I can go and retweet saying Moncton Wildcats legend Cole Eiserman or Eiserman. I don't know how, but it's one of those things where he's never going to wear a jersey, a Wildcats jersey, probably, except for the one that gets shipped to.
But man, if he does.
If he does.
So, speaking of letters, Daniel's probably going to wear a letter.
Yep.
I envision, for me, a C on Hamel, an A on Daniel, and an A on Labelle. And then you can maybe add one more L. That would be the leadership group that I would probably see.
Yeah, I would go with Hamel. For sure. I would obviously Daniel. I would even put one on Barbashev.
Yeah.
And just because you look at this roster, he's the only NHL pick.
Sure.
Right? He's the only NHL pick.
And they do like to have home and road A's, so he
Yeah.
could be one, yeah.
I'm not going to look at. I'm not looking at assistants and
No.
captains right now, but
No, I just put that out there because I'm like, well, they haven't had one, and I don't know if they're going to go another year without having something. But it's another year where we're excited for camp. You should be excited for camp because if you're there, there's going to be spots up for grabs. Like you say, you hate the duel. We're going to know what this team looks like by the time we get to that stupid break.
Mm-hmm.
But that first 3 weeks is going to be a battle at the Propaneplex?
Propaneplex is
Yeah.
the name we gave it.
Yeah. I was like, are they doing it there? Are they doing it at the Uniplex? I'm not sure. So, but yeah, like I said, we're just a month away from camp. So August 15th it starts, probably at the Propaneplex. It's going to be exciting. But I heard the doorbell ring, so we should probably get to our guest, eh?
I guess.
Might as well.
Yeah.
View from the other bench.
Well, I mean, not so much of an other bench, but another bus. It's the season finale, which means we always bring a big guest for the show. And, this guy's traveled so many miles, the stories he's about to tell us, getting this team on the road, where they need to be, when they need to be there. We're happy to have in studio Wildcats bus driver Bernie Hache. Bernie, first of all, thanks for doing this, taking the time, man. I really appreciate you jumping in the studio with us.
Pleasure's mine. Thank you for having me.
First podcast debut, I take it?
Yes, it is indeed.
Yeah.
Yes.
The unsung hero of bus driver. Just talk about how you came to Moncton, how you got this job, and just what it's been like.
Well, going back about 5 years ago, I guess, my wife and I decided to come down to Moncton, leaving the beautiful city of Barrie, and I had done previous OHL driving with the Barrie Colts.
Right.
And I was also doing some part-time bus work for a company up in Barrie, Aurelia. And it was kind of a crazy moment when we decided to take a move to Moncton. I'm originally from Bathurst and left there quite young, so decided to come back to my roots. And Moncton was a place to be, a nice cultural city, great hockey town, great sports town, lots of restaurants, and believe it or not, Adam, we're looking online for a bed and breakfast somewhere in the vicinity of PEI, maybe Nova Scotia. And my wife came up to me after I saw a few places we were looking at. This was a Thursday evening. And she pointed something out to me. She said, you do realize that if we get a B&B, you're not golfing anymore, right? So it was like an instant stop on that situation.
Yeah.
So we ended up finding a condo on Thursday night. She said, are there any condos in Moncton? I said, yeah. I said, there's probably a few. So we looked online, and this was at about 11 o'clock Thursday night. And by 9:10 the next morning, I'd purchased our condo here in Moncton. And within 3 months, we moved down. No intentions of working, a lot of intentions of actually golfing. Then I saw an ad in the paper. They were looking for a motor coach operator for the Moncton Wildcats. So I figured, I've still got my bus license put in for it, and steps happened pretty quickly. Got a phone call from Roger Shannon saying, come on in for an interview. Yeah. Came in, and within 2 weeks, I was offered the position to drive the Wildcats. And first of all, I love hockey. I've always enjoyed the junior level hockey as well as the NHL, of course. But this was a nice surprise that I could actually get to see a lot of the away games, and plus I enjoy driving, so it was a good combination for me. I enjoy driving, enjoy hockey, and here I am 6 years later, and I'm back at it. So
I kind of feel the same way. We moved out here 5 years ago, just came out here on a holiday, and then moved out, loved it, and moved out here, and started this whole venture with this guy which has the connection to Barrie. You're a big Barrie guy.
I'm a big Barrie guy.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, my wife's from Wasaga Beach.
Okay.
And my mom's whole side of the family's from Barrie. So
cool.
Yeah, I like to get up there and watch the Colts if I can. And I'm
the
actually,
problem is you keep going to the beach in the summer.
Yeah,
so
I keep going to the beach.
it's not really Colts hockey
yeah,
time.
that's right. I'm actually going there on Friday. Of this week.
Lovely.
Yeah, so nice little vacation, and I'm excited.
Yeah,
Love
we
Barrie.
lived in Barrie for 19 years, I think it was, because I was working in Toronto at the time, and it's beautiful, what you call sleeper city,
It
or
is
but
growing city.
yeah,
Yeah.
halfway up to the cottage country, which is nice. But you've also got Lake Simcoe just around the corner, and Wasaga Beach, Collingwood. Yeah, so great skiing, great golfing. So
Selling it.
We're going to put it on a tourism ad here. You know, we have to contact the town of Collingwood and the city of Barrie, and put out a tourism ad for the podcast here.
yeah, excellent. I love the area.
Yeah.
Actually, did a lot of traveling up there and so on. So I've been retired now since 2007, and we didn't move here till 2016. So a lot of time to check out the courses and the ski slopes in the winter, and a little bit of ice fishing on Kempenfelt Bay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm actually Kempenfest is actually the weekend that I'm
Absol-
going. Love
That's the
Kempenfest.
long weekend in August,
yeah,
right?
I love Kempenfest.
Well, actually, when you're up there, take a look at the two big condos, the Nauticas.
Yeah, that are right on the bay.
Yeah, that's where we came from. We were on the 13th floor
Yeah.
of the Nautica, facing the bay.
My aunt used to live in one of those buildings.
Beautiful place,
Yeah.
gorgeous
Look at that.
place.
Small
Next,
world, eh?
next thing you know, Jeremy and I are going to be cousins.
Yeah.
That might be. That's how we like to tie things in here for the show. But I remember I came down to talk to Daniel, the photographer of the group, and it was the game that you were doing the singing, the Old Canada, and you had said you sang for the Blue Jays, you'd sang for the Leafs. Like, how did that come about? Like,
I used to sing with numerous musical groups a cappella. I used to sing with a group called Toronto Northern Lights, and that group eventually became world champions in a cappella. And I also sang with foursomes, and I was really big into gospel music. I love the old Southern gospel or any kind of a cappella. I'm a big Pentatonics fan, Manhattan Transfer,
I know
that
the
type of
Pentatonics,
music.
yeah.
And I've always enjoyed it. Well, that gave me quite a bit of leeway as far as opportunities to sing with different groups and also different venues. So
Right.
back in 93 was, I stand corrected, in 85 was the first time that I was asked to sing for the Blue Jays when they were playing at Exhibition Place at the time. So I got to do that one, got to do 1993, which was the year that they won. Kind of an interesting venture on that one because my dad was in the crowd, which he had never been to a ball game before. And I had lots of people from my family, and my dad had no idea that I was actually singing the national anthem. And next thing you know, he's staring at the Jumbotron, and there's this big bald head. And he kind of looked up and he went, "Oh my God, that looks like Bernie." Well,
That was
surprise.
ta-da, Dad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I've been very fortunate as far as singing different venues. And of course, just last year, I did do the national anthem a cappella at the old stadium. But this year I got a call from Mitch Byrne, and he said, Bernie said, both our guys are unable to make it tonight that we have lined up for the anthem. Are you able to do it? I said, sure, in one condition. I want to do it with my guitar. And he kind of went, well, that's going to be interesting. I've never heard the national anthem done with the guitar.
Yeah.
Well, I showed up at about 4:45, 2 hours, 15 minutes before the game, and I gave him my O Canada rendition. And he basically lit up like a Christmas tree. Said, that's going to be perfect. So,
Thank God, because I was probably next on the list, and I don't sing. So
Yeah.
that's a good thing you did it.
well, I'm hoping by next year's contract I can talk Richie Thibault into let me sing a couple more times. So,
Yeah, it was really good. I liked it.
Well, I don't think they'll ever let Ab and I sing "O Canada" at a game.
No.
no?
We've had our couple singing moments
Yeah.
on the show, and
I don't know the anthem in French.
Yeah, well, I do, but
So I'd have to go me and then you and
Yeah.
then me and then us.
yeah.
Hey,
I
if
just
it
don't.
works,
I
why
don't
not?
know how well that would go. But yeah, I think we'd probably have you here all night to share some stories, but we won't keep you here all night. Driving the bus, obviously some long hours. What's just been what's your favorite trip that you go on during the course of the season? Your favorite rink to visit?
Well, there's no question. The Videotron in Quebec City is by far in a league of its own. But there are other rinks. Like right now, the Gatineau, the slushy rink in Gatineau is gorgeous, very well done. And the nice part is I feel very welcomed at all the rinks. When you get up north to Val d'Or and Rouyn-Noranda, I guess they don't get that many visitors, middle of winter. So it's always a nice surprise. And believe it or not, we've got numerous fans in those cities as well. People that are originally East Coast personnel working up there. But I would have to say Cape Breton is a pleasure. Probably the one I wouldn't say dislike the most, but the one that I dislike losing the most is probably Harbor Square in St. John. For some reason, it's the closest rink.
Yeah.
It's a short ride back, but it's even a longer ride when you don't win in St. John.
Yeah,
and that's why a win in St. John is worth twice the win in Chicoutimi, for example.
100%.
Yeah, but no, all the journeys. The longest one, of course, that we return is Cape Breton. I mean, Sydney's a long haul. I mean, I've seen enough moose to last me a lifetime, and deers and and sheeps and cattle. I mean, you see everything when you're driving. Meanwhile, the boys are in the back snoring, which is good for me. I mean, as long as they're sleeping, there's no trouble being caused. But all the road trips are quite different. Rimouski, Bécomo is fun. Bécomo, of course, beautiful little town across the St. Lawrence. Nice ferry ride normally when we go across. Rimouski, same thing. Probably the most loyal fans is Rimouski of all the rinks. But no, every rink, probably the one that I don't enjoy as much is probably Sherbrooke, only because the bus doesn't fit in many of their streets, right?
Yeah.
So it's like trying to get a 45-foot bus in a 20-foot square.
Yeah.
Doesn't really work mathematically because every corner is not 90 degrees, but we do get around. We do make it, so it's good. Yeah.
And they see that coming, they're just like, oh, yeah, hockey game tonight. Let's just slow down, allow you to. I'm guessing there's probably a camaraderie between you and all the other bus drivers in the league that when they come here, you guys are chatting it up and telling stories and
Absolutely.
tips and tricks. And like, how do you stay awake? Like you're not like I've seen a couple games in Charlottetown, and that's a small drive. I get it. You're not pregame napping during the hockey game, so like, how do you guys stay awake to all day drive over there, watch a hockey game, drive home? Like, is it adrenaline from the game, or is it just you kind of get tips and tricks as you?
Like I said, the longest one that we drive home from is Cape Breton. 5 hours and 3 minutes normally it takes us from door to door, and we normally leave 10 o'clock at night. We get here about 3 o'clock in the morning. Basically, I don't do anything during the whole day in Cape Breton. I'll basically park the bus. The boys walk to the rink for the morning skate because it's less than 700 meters away. So basically, the bus will be parked. I might just grab a nap in the afternoon, maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours or so. And 4 o'clock, 4:30, I'll go downstairs, open the luggage compartment so they can stuff their bags underneath. And then show up at the rink, take maybe an hour and a half and just relax, have my meal, and watch the game. 10 o'clock, it's like clockwork. The one thing I like with with Graham and Macker and Bob Cormier, they can rush the boys to hurry up, get in the bus. We've got a long ride ahead of us, and I've been told by the president himself, the owner, basically said, "I'm leaving it up to you. If you're tired, if something happens where you don't feel like driving, the weather's bad," he said, "I'll definitely support you 100% should you decide to stop in Antigonish or stop in Truro, wherever you have to." And since my beginning, I've only ever had to stay overnight in Bathurst, basically. Went downstairs at that time, second period, talked to Darren Rumble, and I said, "Darren, we're booking rooms tonight at the Atlantic Host." I said, "There's a big storm. We're not going to make it. We're not going to make it safely." And no question about it. Everybody showed up. Everybody showed up at the hotel. Next morning, we're on our way home on a nice sunny day. Roads are clear. Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, safety is paramount. It's no question.
Atlantic Coast, they still have the squash courts there?
You know what? I've never checked into that.
I had a few drinks and played at the squash courts at the Atlantic Coast Hotel in Bathurst. It's a good time.
Oh, is that right?
Only if you have a few drinks first, though.
Yeah.
Can't play squash without a few drinks.
I wouldn't know how to play squash whether I had a few drinks or not.
I could tell the difference.
That's the thing. You don't know how to play squash, right? You just know it's almost like it's not tennis, but you're literally just smacking a ball against
just
the
a
wall.
smaller racket with a smaller ball. That's what it is.
Yeah, I saw some things online about like pickleball too, and I'm like,
pickleball's interesting.
That looks like tennis. Just call it tennis.
Yeah, very similar.
Yeah,
but if you look at the competitive level of pickleball now, it's moving on up. There's very interesting. I mean, a lot of people that are elderly, former tennis players, are playing it.
Yeah,
shorter court, smaller court, but it can be equally as quick. Not as dangerous when you're talking about the high level or the speed of the ball, but I tried it a few times down here and enjoy it. Yeah, it's quite nice.
I know it's. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, as long as there's a defibrillator in the building, I'm okay with it. I'll try any sport once.
I guess speaking of defibrillator, not to take it too, but you've been in all the rinks. I'm a big food guy, so I'm not sure if you eat at the rinks or not, but I know Richie has said that the poutine in Baie-Comeau is really good.
Outstanding.
Yeah,
Outstanding.
So that's two.
That's two.
Yeah.
And I know the one across from the rink in Rouen is really good as well. There's a little restaurant.
Yes,
there.
there's one directly across the road, and they've got 25,000 different style of poutines, and yeah, they're
I
fabulous.
told you we got to go to Ren and
We do.
Val-d'Or.
We
No
I told
question.
you.
But food wise, what rinks kind of got the best mezzanine food?
Best pizza, Rimouski. There's a pizza walking distance from the rink. We've had it a few times. Each pizza weighs about 12 pounds.
Oh.
It's about 3 inches thick of meat. I don't know if you should wear it or eat it. No question. Kenny's Pizza in Cape Breton, another great
Kenny's,
place.
Yeah, I've heard good stuff about that.
Yeah, and they're only walking distance. So when I park the bus, I'll go over and grab my meal there. Of course, Vito's. Got to go to Vito's when you're in St. John.
Yeah.
You know, it's only up the hill. So that's the one where I need the defibrillator. 'Cause it's-
Well, even here, the lasagna here is just, I mean, that you could,
Yeah.
lasagna at Vito's in Moncton is
Fortunately for you guys, I don't know if you know this or not, but there is a defibrillator on the bus.
okay,
So that's,
well, that's
I don't think
always-
it's for anybody else but me.
Yeah.
But instead of looking for food in the restaurants, or sorry, in the cities we go and visit, the one thing that I've been ordered to by our director, Mr. Thibault, is to find a hair salon. For some reason, he's got this superstition of getting his hair cut in Quebec for some reason. So that's one of my mandates when I get there, is actually to find him a barber shop or a salon. Luckily for us, in
that's gonna be a big
Chicoutimi,
one.
in Chicoutimi, there was about 8 of them within walking distance, but I just get to chauffeur him with the bus into
Yeah.
the parking lot. Nice, big, beautiful entrance. But and then we go for the food shortly after that.
We're going to write that one down,
Yeah.
Adam, for the next time we have Richie.
100%.
Ask him where his favorite barbershop is in Quebec
Quebec.
City. Yeah.
Yes, there's quite a few of them. That's
Does he go to the same one, or do you switch it up for him?
Different towns, different barbers.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Hilarious.
Yeah, but the one common denominator that Richie and I had, and I'm using the word past tense because my wife's banned me from eating, is Dirty Bird, of course, KFC.
Yeah.
They know us by first name
Yeah.
in Bathurst when we go to Bathurst. It's a trip to KFC, but it's out of my question now. There's no more.
Yeah, it's a lot of time I forget that I don't mind KFC because I don't have it as often. And you're like, oh yeah, I don't mind. Yeah, I've gone to Mary Brown's now.
No,
I've converted to Mary Brown's chicken. It's much.
smart choice.
I don't want to say much healthier, but I mean, speaking of road trips,
It's healthier.
yeah,
Let's put it that. It's
yeah,
healthier. Let's
yeah,
put it that way.
Yeah, well, we'll call it that. I don't know if you saw the pregame or the preseason schedule. We were going over it just a little bit earlier. You're going up to Caraquet for a 7 p.m. game on Saturday, and then back to Bouctouche on. Does that even phase you anymore to have these trips day after day?
Not at all.
Like-
Not at all. As long as it's within my 16 hours duty
Yeah.
and I can have my 8 hours rest in between, I'm okay with that.
So you pre-plan the schedule, like when the schedule comes out, you kind of know where you're going.
Well, that's just it. I sit down
Plan
with Graham, and I mean, certain things will change.
Yeah,
I mean, some trips, for example, going up to Val-d'Or, prime example. The boys might fly back. Well, that changes my schedule because now I don't have to find a secondary driver that's going to meet me in Lévis or Drummondville to continue the journey down. And I'll probably just come down on my own as far as Drummondville, stay overnight, stay for my 8 hours rest, get up the next morning, and make my jaunt back to Moncton and meet back her at the rink. So there's all the different elements that we deal with. But with the schedule, once it came out, Graham and I sat down because he does the planning for the hotel, for the meals and so on. And I think there's only 1 or 2 this year where I actually have to get a secondary driver to continue the journey or begin it for me.
right.
Last year when we were up in Val-d'Or, I'm sorry, it was Rouen that we were finished off. I got a driver from Rouen to come down with the bus and meet me in Drummondville. I had left the night before, stayed overnight in Drummondville, and then he arrived at about 5 a.m, and I took over from that point, and we ended up arriving in Moncton at about 11.
So you leave with the empty bus. He brings all the guys drops them off the gear, or what do you mean?
I went down with the rented car,
Oh, okay.
right? He
Right.
brings our bus with the players and the equipment. We stop for maybe an hour at Lévis, somewhere at the I-24 stop.
Right.
I take over. He takes the rented car back to Rouyn-Noranda.
Oh, okay. I thought you took the Wildcats bus empty.
No,
It's parked. He brought the Ren bus full of players and gear. You guys switched it out. and then
we
you kept
normally
driving.
keep our guys on our bus. Very seldom do we ever change the bus. We'd rather
Right.
just change the drivers than to use an outside company. I mean, the boys get comfortable. And to be honest with you, I don't know if you guys have been inside the bus at all, or
No, we're not super fans like our friends Veronique and Brent. We haven't been on the bus yet.
no. But I'll have to take you into it one of these days,
Yeah.
and hopefully give you a lift, because I'll
Gonna
tell
write
you,
that down.
yes, please, make it part of the contract.
It's contract.
Yeah.
We heard it right here.
There it is.
There was no shortcuts taken when it comes to the safety of that vehicle.
Yeah.
They, without question. I mean, I speak to other drivers. I see other buses. Many of the coaches. Fortunate for the Wildcats, Mr. Irving owns the vehicle.
Mm-hmm.
Contrary to Charlottetown or St. John or Halifax, they don't own the vehicles.
Mhm.
It's leased or rented from Coach Atlantic or Maritime
Yeah.
Transport. And they've got 56 seats. We've only got 34. Well, the seats that we've got are like captain chairs of an aircraft.
Right.
Good reclining seats, very safe. All got seat belts, especially now. Seat belts are mandatory, and the boys are very comfortable with it. So to put them in another bus is a different story. So
Right,
we'd
yeah.
like to keep them within, and then we just make a driver switch if we need be. That's
Something I'd never known. Never would have thought of.
When did the seat belts become mandatory?
21.
Really?
Yeah, 21 in coaches,
I
motor
guess.
coaches, yeah.
Huh, interesting.
Yeah, so we didn't have them in the previous bus.
Yeah.
We had them on the luxury seats, the first 4 seats, the big recliners that they had. But we didn't have them in all of the other seats, and that was probably one of the reasons that we made the switch. Also, the other bus was had its good days.
Right.
It was on its way out. I know the sad part about the other bus, unfortunately for me, was the one place that it leaked the most was right above my head. I'll never forget coming back from good old Cape Breton again, and just as we hit Antigonish, we must have hit, I think we left, it was plus 7 degrees at 10 o'clock at night. By the time we hit Kelly's Mountain, it was -3 with freezing rain. By the time we hit Antigonish, it was a crosswind. It was going 90 degrees, and the water started pouring in, and good old Heptich at that time was sitting right behind me with a towel to try to keep the water off my head. I needed one of these umbrellas that
The umbrella hats.
exact umbrella hat, yeah. But that's the way it is. I mean, you got a flat bus with big windows, a lot of rubber seals, and unfortunately, it was parked outside a lot, so a lot of the rubber would basically shrink, and when you get into water damage, into the electronics and so on, it can be pretty expensive. So the president decided, well, it's time for a new vehicle. We're moving into a new rink. Let's treat it with the utmost respect and be as professional as we can be. And here we are now. So,
Any, I guess not necessarily you, but amongst the team, I know you don't want to get into stories here, but like superstitions
that was
that you
a
might
perfect question.
see on the bus that
Yeah.
that people will just be like, well, why? Like anything that goes on
Without naming guys.
yeah,
You
without
don't have
naming
to,
guys, but like, are the seats assigned, or are there superstitions with specific seats or anything that's?
there are.
Yeah.
There are. I mean, every player has a certain thing to do in their own little way. You see it happen over and over again. You know, the way they either don't socialize with anybody until while they're traveling to the rink and so on. I mean, for me, any time that we go on a losing streak, I change my tie collar. I've gotten into a tie color change that if I'm wearing blue, I mean, I feel blue. That means we've lost. That tie comes off, and I'll wear the red until we win again.
Yeah.
And that's just what I do. And during the playoffs, I'll wear the New Brunswick tartan tie
Nice.
that I have, and that was given to me by Roger Shannon His father used to work for the New Brunswick Liquor Control Board, and so did my dad.
Okay.
So
Nice.
I remember my dad wearing the New Brunswick tartan. I mean, it's the same tartan that you see with the people with the 50-50
Yeah,
at the rink.
Yeah.
And so that's during the playoffs. That's a tie of choice. Superstitious, maybe. Let's go back to 2019 when we were on the verge of going into playoffs, coming back from Rimouski and the 3 home games and so on before we were shut down because of COVID. I wore that tie for the 7 last games that we won. So we're not quite playoffs yet.
Yeah.
But you see players. You see it's almost a routine. As far as where they sit on the bus, it normally works by seniority. The 20s will get the back seats. Normally captains, assistants, and then it works their way up to the rookies are right up to the front, directly behind the equipment. And right now, the way the seating format is on the bus is we've got 34 seats. We've got 11 singles on the right side, the door side of the bus, and then, of course, the doubles on the other side. So you've got your regulars knowing exactly where to sit, like assigned seats. Tim Roselle has his seat number 4 right behind Macker, which is right behind Richie, which is right behind Josh. Coach LaCroix sits right behind me. It was quite funny because when the coach actually first came on board with me, and he kind of, just for a joke, I guess, said, Bernie, which is the safest seat on the bus? I said, the one directly behind me, because if I'm hitting a moose, I'm definitely not hitting it on this side. And so Josh looked at me and goes, thanks, Bernie, appreciate that. Sorry about your luck, Josh.
Love it.
I do like that. That's yeah. That's funny. Not hitting it on this side. Smart. How much gear actually goes on a road trip? Like there's
a lot.
there's not a lot of
lot.
We're all dads here. We kind of know how to put stuff in when
It-
we
it-
pack
you know
trunks and
what?
stuff.
It's
Is it a Tetris game or
Exactly that.
Do you help with that or does
Absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely. It's a routine. And fortunately for us this year is that the likes of Miles Mueller, Etienne Morin, Darcy, another Thomas Darcy, another great kid, they've taken control on how to load the bus because they've seen us do it so many times.
Right.
So it makes our job easier. We just stand by and watch. But when you go on an overnighter, especially the Quebec road trips, you got to bring a lot of sticks. You got to bring tons of water. There's always 5-6 cases of water either on the bus or underneath in the compartment. Then you've got your own personal luggage. Basically, you can't even get a box of a simple box of donuts in the bus after we're finished packing.
Wow.
It's that packed in. You got to bring the dryers. You got to bring the glove warmers. It adds up to the point where there's no room for anything. I mean, one of the kids asked us one day, "Can we stop at my billet or my home in Drummondville and pick up my winter tires?" Basically, sorry, there's no room for them. I mean, it works out that it's very, very compact. You've got, because on a road trip, you normally bring 23 players. You bring everybody, or 24. You've got your 10 staff you bring in with you. Well, that's 34 seats, all luggage. And when the coaches, of course, go on a road trip, they bring their hockey gear as well because they've got to be on the ice.
Yeah.
So there's an extra 4 bags or 3 bags. So it adds up.
And then the trainer equipment. And,
I mean, we don't have a roof rack. I mean, we could use it, but we probably wouldn't fit underneath too many bridges. But
are the compartments bigger in this bus than like a lot bigger than they were?
They're big. The Prevost bus that we have is much bigger than the MCI, for example. There's 2 types of buses that you normally use in Canada. The Prevost is much higher. So, and then of course you've got the medical box. The medical box is stuffed, and Graham looks after the food on the arrival at the rinks.
Yeah.
That. I don't know if protein bars weigh that much, but the box is full of them. Then you've got Macker, which, of course, brings his box weighs probably close to 350 pounds by the time he brings all the extra blades, the tools.
Yeah.
So you got to be prepared. I mean, the last thing you want to do on a road trip is to actually to be searching for something and, have to run out somewhere, ask another team to borrow it from. So the boys are organized. The equipment managers are organized, and when we load up, it's like watching artwork at it. It's everything is stuff, every corner. Goalie pads, you don't want to bend them a certain way because they're shaped in a certain way. So you got to be careful. You don't want to damage anything. But the boys know you put 24 bags in the front compartment. You put these in the second compartment. The sticks go in the third, and so on. And then, of course, you got your practice jerseys. You got your two color jerseys to play with because you don't know what the other team's going to be wearing.
Yeah.
So it adds up.
It's funny you take practice jerseys. You wouldn't think like Drummondville would have practice jerseys for them and practice jerseys that other teams could use, so that would alleviate that. But
not the same numbers, right?
Yeah,
you know what I mean. The practice jerseys,
practice jersey. You wouldn't think numbers matter, but it's easy for the coaches to call on. So when you guys are going into Sherbrooke for a road game at the first of three or whatever, how does that process work? When you arrive in town, is it you drop the guys in the gear off, they do that, and then
we always go to the rink first.
Yeah,
always go to the rink, drop off the equipment. Basically, if the players help us unload, everybody grabs. I mean, I said the players, the coaches do as well.
Yeah.
When we return to a rink, normally even Dan LaCroix will grab a hockey bag and take it into the dressing room.
Yeah.
15 minutes, we can be in and out and have everything lined up, ready to be dried, and so on. Depends how much time we've got. Let's just give you an example. When we leave here to go to Sydney, to Cape Breton, we'll leave here, let's say, at 10 o'clock in the morning. Stop in Antigonish at 1 at BP for a meal. Mm-hmm. Arrive at the rink at 4 o'clock. Unload. Takes us about 20 minutes. Boys get back on the bus. I drive down to the hotel. We get to the hotel. We have an hour. They know I either walk for supper or I'll take them to whichever restaurant they're going to for a meal. Sometimes it's at the hotel. Macker, Bob Cormier, Graham will stay behind to make sure that everything is organized. The next morning, the boys get up. Macker and Graham and Bob are already at the rink. They've been there for 2 hours already. Everything is set up for them when they arrive. I've got to say, it's like a machine. And that's the one thing that impresses me the most. I mean, I did do some work in the OHL with Barrie Colts, for example, but the Wildcats are in a different league altogether. They're so organized. Everything is ready for the players. The players have no worries whatsoever. And that's when you start seeing the superstitious, such as certain players tape their sticks regardless. They've got to line them up a certain way. It's interesting to see that, and I'm so fortunate that I get to see this kind of system going on. But it's like a machine, and the Wildcats organization is on top of it all. They're very much on the ball.
Jeez. I don't honestly. I'm just like I said. We could probably just sit here and talk stories all night. But I honestly, man, I don't.
You're out.
If
you
something,
enjoy the stories?
I just enjoy the stories. I'm all ears right now.
This is one of those things that not a lot of fans know what go into a road trip, right? Like they just think you show up, play hockey. They don't know what all goes involved, and so it's just kind of interesting to hear this story. It's like I'm sure you can't tell us certain things, but just your ears have to have heard some of the craziest things on that bus, whether it's coaching staffs or players or just or is it just they get on the bus after a game and 45 minutes in they're all out?
No, not at all.
Yeah.
No, some of the funny stories that I can share with, and you got to remember where I sit, I'm hearing what's going on between the coaches, talking about a game, whether it's a good or a negative. But my attitude's always been, I'm in charge of transportation, and I'm not in charge of hockey operations. Mm-hmm. So what I hear Richie talk to Dan about, or to Josh, or to Antoine, or to Graham about injuries, it doesn't go any further for me.
Yeah, it's on the bus.
It's something that I don't share with anybody because there's integrity.
Yeah,
integrity level. You know, I might hear of players that they have to trade, or players that have asked for a trade, or so on. So
once
I hear
the door
it.
opens, you forget about it, right?
Correct. It's not like Vegas, but what's on the bus stays on the bus, basically.
Which is you can't not have that when you're in this kind of a league with underage kids, right? Like these aren't professionals.
And but I've got to say though, it's like a well-oiled machine when you see what goes on road trips, and there's so many things that the fans don't get to see about what everybody does, what their jobs are on the road, and so on. The food that they eat. The boys eat well. Well, they have to eat well if they want to play well. The respect for visitors' tickets. There's a whole list of things that goes on that the fan wouldn't even think about it. Like when we go into Quebec and you've got 12 players out of 20 that's born and raised in Quebec, you're going to get a lot of family, a lot of friends. That's what's fascinating to watch as well. So you get to see the family. Now, saying that, probably the hardest part for me, from an emotional standpoint, if I can use that, is when you get to the likes of, let's say we're playing in Blainville, Boisbriand, for example, and you see, I'm just going to use an example of Zachary Lheureux, which is from the area, or you had at that time Jonathan Spiro, which is from just around the corner, and you see the family, and unfortunately the player only gets to spend about 10 minutes from when he's finished playing at 9:35, 9:40, showered, bringing the equipment out, loading the bus, and the bus leaves at 10. It's kind of, and let's face it, these boys are 16, 17, 18 years old. Like the first rookie year for Zachary, for example, when we got to Blainville, he only got to see his family, his sisters, brothers, uncles, aunts, grandfathers for about 6 minutes. You know, and they're back on the bus, and we're heading up after that, up to Val-d'Or or up to Rouyn-Noranda. So that's the part where I find heartbreaking in a sense. But that's the emotional side that you see where they're just kids. Some of them are quite young. First time, prime example, Havanov, coming all the way from Russia, didn't speak English. You know, that must have been so difficult for him to make that move over here into a small town, New Brunswick, which is half French, half English. And all of a sudden, we traded at that time, I think, or we released, I believe it was Daniel Kuzman, which was kind of his in-between, because Daniel spoke English very well. But after that, Havanov looked lost to me. But luckily at that time, we had the likes of Jacob Pelletier that took him under his wing, and kind of one of the best captains we've ever had. And it showed. It showed. And that's why that team I was so close to, they were just an incredible, warm group that got to gel so well. And unfortunately, COVID shut us down to what could have been a top contender. You know.
Yeah, we try not to bring that.
Oh, sorry.
No, that's okay. That's okay. I guess it's, obviously the bus is, I guess, your baby, if you want to put it that way.
Yeah. I do baby it.
Yeah. What would you like to see, the team do more with your baby? What would you like to see incorporated? I know before we came on air, we talked about, more fan access to the bus. What would you like to see the team do more, with the bus to kind of show it off? Because it's a top notch.
Well, it's a billboard.
Yeah,
it's a 45-foot by a 12-foot billboard, really. That I'm in favor of actually promoting the team even at the home games, even though if it's just parking the bus over at the Sobeys during a game day, and putting a sign just next to the bus, game time tonight, 7:00 against such and such. Well, people will. A prime example last year when we did the exhibition games at Uniplex in Dieppe. Well, I went into the management of the rink and I said, "Can I park it on that little portion just at the entranceway, but not blocking any parking spots?" And I put it on an angle that people coming home from work, because I'm there at 4:45, the game's at 7, and people are coming up the street into the residential area, and they're seeing this big bus. So that first thing that comes to mind is, oh boy, the Wildcats are playing tonight. Maybe I'll grab my son and whatever, or my wife will go down and watch a game. So it's a big billboard that's available to be promoted. When it comes to the fans, I'd be game, and I'm hoping to talk to both Richie and the director of business operation to maybe kind of run a little contest or something where we can treat the fans to a ride to the rink, for as a thank you, and give them that grand entrance into the rink. I mean, we have such a beautiful rink. And such great fans. It'd be nice. It'd be nice to actually be able to do that. But that's something that the people in the higher process than me to make that decision. And should they come up to me and request it, I'd love to do it. I'd love to take part in that because it's a good thing. It's the way I look at it. Any publicity is not bad publicity, and the more seats we can put in in that rank, the better the team's going to be in the long run. So,
yeah, I've been on this show for 4 or 5 years, telling them what they should do and ideas, and season ticket holders, you got to have perks, right? And that's just one perk. Your name is entered into fan of the game, and you get the bus and the suite and the dinner or whatever. First time somebody gets on that and sees that on the rink, they're going to go, well, how do I get that?
How do I get it? Exactly.
Yeah, well, season tickets or flex tickets. All right, well, I don't have that this year, but if they keep doing it every year, maybe next year I'll buy the flex pack because, this team's going to be that much better next season and whatnot. So I fully support your idea, and when you're ready to talk, I got all kinds of ideas, as Jeremy knows. But
again, I'm the transportation person.
Yeah.
But doesn't mean I don't know anything about marketing or
100%.
public relations.
Yeah.
And I mean that's one thing that
you're a fan yourself, right?
I'm a huge fan, and I take pride in what I do.
Yep.
Hence the reason shirt and tie at every rink.
Yep.
I mean it doesn't change. I don't represent Bernie Hashie. I represent the Moncton Wildcats organization.
Yeah.
So I don't get a second chance to leave a first impression.
Yeah.
So I've got to walk in there with my head held high, win or lose, and don't kick any garbage cans over. You know what I mean?
100%.
Because it's not our style.
Yeah.
Our style, if we're going to take a loss, we're going to take it graciously.
Yeah.
So I'm into anything that's going to promote the team. The reason I'm coming back for year number 6, I was supposed to retire, but the reason
found that out before,
Yes, the reason I'm coming back is I know I've still got some good to give to the Wildcats, and maybe after this interview, Richie might change his mind.
Let's hope not.
Good, I hope not, because we've taken a few L's on certain guesses and predictions and stuff, so we're just kind of getting our way back. We don't want to keep you all night. Let's talk about the team. Just your idea coming from the draft last year into this year, just kind of what do you expect from this club as they move forward into this year?
I'm expecting a lot. I am indeed. I mean, we've got some players that we can build a team around is what I'm seeing. Not only do I drive the vehicle, I also observe what goes on, the characters. You've got number 5, you got number 17, number 6, number 7. These are all players, 23, Papin. These are all players you build a team around. Lashing, 28, Fillon. You've got all these great players that are going to go somewhere, and you build around them. And as it stands right now, you look at the guys that are coming back. There's some pretty talented individuals. Mm-hmm. Miles Mueller is one of my favorite, both on and off the ice. It's going to be very interesting with the new group that's coming in. We got a few free agents that's been invited to camp. Some big boys.
Yeah.
Last year, I think we were outmatched by Bathurst, St. John, Charlottetown when it comes to size. When it came to, a prime example, I'm sitting with my wife in our club seats, and she points out, she goes, how come Bathurst has 9 guys that have been drafted by the NHL, but we don't have any? Well, we did. We were there in 2019.
Yeah.
Now it's called the rebuilding years. Mm-hmm. And then she said, how many 17-year-olds does St. John have? I go, none that I know of. But we've got 7. How many 16-year-olds have we got? I go, we've got 2 or 3, I think it was at the time. She goes, St. John doesn't have any. Well, pretty hard to go against 18 and 19-year-olds.
Yeah.
And, guys have had 2-3 years experience ahead of. But this coming year, now they're going to be our boys that are 18.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
The ISNs of the world. And they're going to be in demand. Barbashev, a prime example. Barbashev picked up. He's going to have that NHL bracket next to his name. I'm sorry we lost Charles-Antoine Pilote. Great kid. Reminded me very much of Jack Tucker. If you go back to big boys, solid. But sometimes you wonder, I don't think they realize that with skates, they're 6'8", and they can scare anybody in the league.
Yeah.
But, he's gone to where is it, Blainville, or is it
Gatineau?
Gatineau?
Yeah, Gatineau.
Gatineau, which is great friend, great guy. That's probably the part that I don't like, is you get
Build
attached to them.
relationships, yeah.
And then when we lost Spence and Pelletier to Valdor, for example, and I'm going to go on the record as saying one of the nicest, truest gentlemen I've ever met in hockey was without question Jordan Spence from PEI. God bless his parents for raising such a fine lad, but total gentleman, polite, kind, friendly. He really made a difference on our team that we had, and we had such great people that I keep referring back to that team of 2019.
It's okay. It took us a while to get used to not.
Okay,
it takes a while to get used to what was.
I'm sure you guys felt the same way. Yeah. I'm sure.
Oh yeah, that we were winning that thing.
Especially that last road trip. I mean, I saw the chemistry. It was gelling. They were all getting along. It wasn't the French players and the English players and the Russians. It was the Wildcats.
Yeah.
And that's what I saw. And that's what basically the coaching staff did. They were gelling. They were starting to. One of those road trips, I can share something that happened that had me in tears. I think pretty sure it was Coach LaCroix at the time was actually texting the boys and telling them when the clock changes to 10:06, everybody do bird calls. And and unbeknownst to the rest of the coaching staff and the gray and blacks of the world that were trying to sleep, at 10:06 when the clock changed, the players would all or at 10:17, everybody sound like a gorilla, and then you do. So of course I'm sitting at the front trying to drive the bus with tears in my eyes because I'm so somebody was playing. So those are the kind of things that happen, but it brings a lot of warmth to the team. So
yeah, you were going back to that. You were going to take that long bus drive across Canada to Kamloops that year. That year.
Yeah,
and you were going to come back very happy, I do believe. Mm-hmm. There was note about that.
Man. I was so looking forward to doing the 4,988 kilometers. I would have probably had to get a second driver.
Yeah.
And
we would have offered.
Absolutely. I was so looking forward to that because there's no question Mr. Irving would have wanted the Wildcats bus to be there.
Oh, yeah.
He did back when it was in Brandon, Manitoba, I believe it was, a few years prior.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'll go to the end of the earth just to make sure that the Wildcats bus can be there for the boys. It's their vehicle. All I am is I'm their chauffeur. And there was an old line that I use is that I don't work for the Moncton Wildcats per se. I don't drive for the Wildcats. I drive for the mums and dads and grandparents and sisters and brothers of the players that are on the bus. Mm. That's who I work for.
Yeah.
I mean, let's go back to Humboldt. Never forget it. We were in Blainville at the time when the accident happened. I get a message from Mario Pelletier crying, basically on the phone to me crying because he said, I don't realize how much you look after my boy. And that hit home.
Yeah.
That was the time that actually at the time was I was interviewed on the radio about it. And I would say I kind of got emotional, thinking that I've got to take my job more serious now, and my responsibilities were that much greater, but I can handle it. Mm. I can do this.
Yeah.
And that's the one thing I picked up from the Humboldt situation. And let's face it, a lot of buses in Canada are on the roads on weekends.
Yeah.
And not just in New Brunswick. It's North America wide. It's our sport. And unfortunately, hockey doesn't play all the time in summer. It's a winter sport. And we're still lucky. We're still lucky. We've only had the one major. We've had a few. Bathurst, of course, with the basketball team.
Swift Current.
But makes me take my job that much more serious. And if I knew I couldn't do it, I probably wouldn't. But I know I can. I feel safe with what I do.
Yep.
So.
And that's why you're one of the best in the business, and that's why we had to have you. That's why we had to have you on.
Well, I'm so happy you guys did. I mean, I did warn you at the beginning that I do talk a lot, but you can cut out whatever portion you wish.
Not a thing. Not a thing. That's why it's a season finale. Fans expect great guests, and you're one of the best ones we've had on the show, and we really appreciate it. You're now a friend of the show. I mean, you technically were already, but now that you've been on, you're a friend of the show. So again, we thank you for joining us and giving us some insight on traveling.
Thanks for having me, and any other humor that I'll find, I'll let you know so you can put it on. And But some of the stuff I got to keep it kind of.
Oh,
Yeah.
hey, look, you gave us our Richie Barbershop
Yeah.
inside
That's
joke
all we
now,
need.
so we've got we've got the ammo we need for the next time we have him on the show.
Yeah, hopefully I'll make sure he's out of town when the podcast comes out. So he just.
Yeah. That's all we need, man. Thanks for doing this.
Thank
Well,
really
pleasure's
appreciate
mine. Thanks, Adam. Thanks, Jeremy. Appreciate it.
All right, guys, that's it for season 5. I mean, what a ride it's been. First of all, again, thank you, Bernie, for joining us on the season finale. As well, we want to thank all of our guests that have been on during the season. As well, our show sponsors. We don't have a show without these sponsors. Eric Murray of Eric Murray Realty, Nicole from Rosemary Lynn Massage, for being a part of our shows, and hopefully we have them again next year. And again, to all you amazing fan listeners, we don't have a show again without you. The support, whether it's the Muellers in Switzerland, or the Tybells in Austria, or down in New York, or wherever, Canada, Alberta, wherever. We can't do this show without you.
Apparently, Brazil,
Chile.
Somebody listens in Brazil.
I don't know how many seconds you guys listen to, but you might flip it on and shut it right off. But hey, you're turning it on, so we're worldwide. But again, we don't do this show without you. And last one to you, man.
Thank you, man.
9 months you're in this basement,
Ugh.
week after week after week. I couldn't do it without you, man, and I appreciate you joining me every week to talk hockey.
We get four weeks off, and then
Yeah.
we're back. We're back at it.
Just like that. 4 weeks off. We're back at it, August 22nd for Wildcats camp. Oh, enjoy your holiday.
Yeah.
Enjoy some time. Summer. You enjoy your golf and Bernie, and thanks to
Adam.
everyone. Have a good one.
Thanks for listening to another episode of the Wildcast Podcast. Follow us on social media at Moncton Wildcast.